In today's video, I'm going to share with you some disturbing news that I've been hearing from veterans as it pertains to some VA employees not scheduling veterans informal conferences when they request one, when they submit their high-level review. So stick around. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89, a VA Claims Consulting, United States Army veteran, and retired VA rating specialist. Today's video, got some disturbing news. Been talking to several vets over the past couple of weeks, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was just a one-off, but they have been sharing with me some things that some VA employees, not all, are doing when veterans request an informal conference when they submit their claim for a high-level review. But as always, before I get into today's video, make sure you pick up a new book, click the link below, and get your signed copy, VA Claim Success. Now, today's video. Been talking to some vets over the last week or so, and well, a little bit longer than that, and they're saying, hey, Dwayne, I submitted an 0996, requested an informal conference. A few weeks later, I get a rating decision in the mail and no phone call. And I'm like, what? He's like, aren't they supposed to call me and schedule it? Yeah. So I thought it was just a one-off. But I started talking to this vet, and it's happening multiple times. So I have 5 slides. Yes, 5 slides. So sit down, buckle up. It's some good information. So I'm going to start with, what is that process? And what does it look like as it pertains to what that VA employee is supposed to do in scheduling your informal conference? And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of things that you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you or you don't fall in that boat, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number 1. Well, here in the first slide, you can see this is the M21 manual reference. Now keep in mind, when I go through and do my research, I'm in M21, I may not copy the entire M21. So again, I'm gonna tell you like I always do, if I'm showing you a particular 38 CFR, M21 court case or whatever, make sure you jot this number down and the name and go out and continue to do your research, okay? So this M21, definition, informal conference. And it reads, an informal conference is contact, typically by telephone, but also using other means that VA determines appropriate for the sole purpose of allowing a claimant and or representative the opportunity to identify any errors of law or fact in the prior decision. Now, I know there's a couple of things that I want to point out that you may not picked up. The first is it says claimant and or representative. You don't want just your representative on the high-level review. You need to be in there and be active of what's going on, okay? Now, the second part, it says identify any errors of law or fact. A lot of veterans say, oh, they denied me, I served my country, I'm doing a high-level review. If it doesn't fall under the law or fact, it's going to be denied. So again, that's where that education comes in, and you have to understand not only what you did with your claim, but how the VA claims process can impact it, all right? Errors of law or fact. It doesn't say your personal feelings, okay? Now, slide number 2. This one, overview of informal conferences. Now, I pointed out some important key areas in red here, okay? So I'm gonna go over those. First paragraph, the presence of the requester is not required if his or her authorized representative can attend instead. Again, if I was doing this over again, would I have a representative there and me not be there? No. Now, it will be up to you, but if you trust that person, by all means, go ahead. But if I had to do it, I'm locked in, I want to be on that phone call, or if for any good reason they had to do it in person, I would want to be there in person. Second paragraph, at the local option, the high-level reviewer or informal conference coordinator will arrange the conference, while the reviewer with the decision authority over the issue will actually conduct it. So, reviewer with the decision authority, they're talking about the DRO, the decision review officer that's going to conduct the informal conference. The conference coordinator just schedules it, okay? VA will not accept any new evidence to support the issues under review during the informal conference. Okay, when you submit that 0996, you can submit new evidence, but they're telling you they're not going to review it. They are not going to review it. A lot of veterans do not read the instruction forms on these claim forms, like the 526, the 0995, the 0996. They all have instructions. On that 0996, you read the entire claim form, you'll see they will not review any new evidence. They're only going to look at the evidence of record. And again, what you got to do? You got to bring up the error, fact, or law and or fact, all right? The last paragraph, VA will typically conduct informal conferences telephonically, okay? So I think when these forms first came out, 0996, that way a lot of veterans were driving or lived in remote areas and they couldn't get to the regional office, okay? So the informal conference, when they came out to 0996, that was on there as an option for them. Again, now, if you want your representative just to go and represent you without you being there, that's totally up to you. Me, I wouldn't do it, okay? I want to be involved in that. Slide number 3, initial actions. The reviewer or informal conference coordinator will make a total of 2 attempts to contact the claimant or his or her representative to schedule. Now, this is where the problem lies. Again, been talking to several veterans. I thought this was just a one-off when I heard it a few weeks ago, where veterans are actually getting rating decisions and the informal conference was never conducted. And then I asked the vet, I'm like, hey, did you call the National Call Center to see if a VA employee documented that they called you? And of course, some of them said, no. Well, call them back and let me know. I'm just curious. Everyone that called me back, they said, yeah, it's documented in there that they tried to call me, but I didn't get a voicemail. I didn't get anything, nothing. And there's been instances where the veteran did get the voicemail, called back, and nobody picked up or returned the veteran's call, and the high-level review decision was made. And of course, in all the cases, they were denied, okay? So the second sentence there, the reviewer will hold the informal conference within 7 calendar days of the successful contact. So for the individuals that are looking at this video, if you had an informal conference, you got the phone call, had it scheduled for a particular date, the reviewer will hold an informal conference within 7 days of the successful contact. Okay, so on that contact, when they schedule you for the informal conference, and they said, okay, this is who I am, we're scheduling your informal conference, when they schedule that conference, was it 7 days from the date that they contacted you? Okay, I'm just curious. So leave a comment in the comment sections for me, okay? Now, we're almost home. That's 3 slides. A lot of good information. If you missed it, go back and review it again, okay? But when I'm trying to bring your attention, this informal conference process, what that VA employee / coordinator is supposed to do, all right? Now we got our breath. Let's go ahead and finish it up, all right? Slide number 4. Here in slide number 4, you can see it says unsuccessful initial attempts to contact the requesters. You are the requester, okay? It states if the reviewer or informal conference coordinator cannot contact the claimant or representative on the first attempt, VA will, if possible, leave a general voicemail message requesting a return call at the specified telephone line with the DR DROC, I'm sorry, known as DROC, okay? Again, this is what some VA employees are doing. Veterans are saying, hey, I am not getting this call. And they're documenting saying that they called the vet, okay? They're not supposed to do that. Now, if you go down to the fourth bullet comment, it says add a permanent note in VBMS. The reason why I highlighted VBMS is because that is the system that houses your electronic claim folder. So if somebody in LA, or I'm sorry, Seattle, Washington, is scheduling that informal conference and somebody in St. Petersburg, Florida is actually doing the conference, okay? I'm not saying that that's the way it works, but just an example. VBMS, V employees have access to that. They log in and they can see everything that's going on with your claim regardless of where they're at in the country, okay? Then the last bullet comment, ensure that the suspense date will expire in 3 business days. Now the suspense dates is normally set when there's some action, okay? So it says 3 days here, but if the VA sent you some information and in there they said you have 30 days to respond, they're gonna set that suspense date for 30 days because after that 30 days, the system is gonna trigger something and tell them, hey, some action needs to be done with this veteran's claim form. It's gonna end up on somebody's desk. Here they're saying 3 days. Can you guess why? First attempt, they're supposed to make 2, but they just did the first one. Guess what's supposed to happen at the end of those 3 business days, okay? We're gonna get into it on this next slide here. Slide number 5. Unsuccessful second attempts to contact the requester. The requester is you, okay? So top paragraph, it says, if VA receives no response by the 3rd business day, remember that last slide it says suspense date? Make a second attempt. So that suspense, 3 days, put your claim on hold for 3 days. Then after that 3rd day, it's supposed to trigger something in VBMS to say, hey, we got to call this vet again because we owe them a second phone call. Make a second and last, because they only give you 2, attempt to schedule an informal conference. If the second attempt fails, the reviewer or informal conference coordinator will, 3rd bullet comment, add a permanent note of the unsuccessful attempt in VBMS. Now, if you look at what's highlighted in blue here, VA Form 21-0820. I think in past videos, I always said 21-, but it's VA Form 27-0820. Now, what that form is, report a contact. Every time you call that 800 number, 800-827-1000, they're filling one of these out. So that way that lets the next person that's developing that claim or touch that claim that you called in and what the conversation is about. So what they're putting on this form is, hey, call the veteran the first time, no answer, left a voicemail or whatever. Call the veteran the second time, unsuccessful, left a voicemail, okay? Last bullet comment, the HLR reviewer will, with authority over the issues, can then render a final decision on the HLR review. I'm gonna read that back. The HLR reviewer with authority over the issues can then render a final decision on the HLR review. Now, I know that may have sounded like a lot, but key points. Some veterans are saying, hey, Dwayne, I submitted that 0996. I elected for a HLR review within a formal conference. I never received a phone call. They get a final decision. 9 times out of 10 it's being denied. And they never had a chance to do the informal conference. Now, at the beginning of this video, I stated, I'm going to give you some things, a couple of things that you can do in hopes that this doesn't happen to you, okay? 1, when you submit that 0996, I would say wait a couple of weeks. Call in to 800-827-1000. Let them know you would like them to, you're calling in, why you're calling in, and they're going to put what you state on that 27-0820. Hey, I filed 0996. I understand, hey, some coordinators are not calling veterans and completing their scheduling their informal conference. I'd just like to make this note so you can put it on that 27-0820 that I called in. I want an informal conference. Make sure when that coordinator calls me that if I don't pick up, leave a message, but I need a number to call back. Now, also what you can do, you can repeat that every 2 weeks, because guess what? You're putting that note in your file, so if that coordinator stated that they call you and it gets to that decision review officer, hopefully they should say, wait a minute, this vet called in several times saying, I want an informal conference. I want to make sure that it gets scheduled. Do not render a decision. I want to talk to someone about why I'm disagreeing with whatever's in that rating decision, okay? So it's in there multiple times. That should give that DRO, decision review officer, a moment of pause and say, wait a minute, something's going on here, because I've got these other 0820s from this coordinator saying that they called a vet, and then the vet has called in several times saying, nobody's called me. I want to make sure that that coordinator schedules me, okay? So I was really shocked that this had happened. Now, last year, I talked about some VA employees refusing to use veterans' sufficient DBQs, okay? And about a year and a half ago. And it wasn't a lot, it was just some. Now, if you submit that sufficient DBQ and Nexus statement, it's just the opposite. They're going to try and schedule you for a CMP exam. So the reason why I bring that up is veterans not getting these phone calls. It's real small right now, but just like the DBQs, it could get worse, okay? So again, you want to be educated not only on what you're doing with your claim, but the VA claims process as well, all right? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.